Ladies and gentlemen, we move on to the next panel. Of course, we've been discussing a lot of crossing borders with Mishti. We move on to a very important and the last panel of the first edition of Juga's Literature Festival on the second day. We have with us Pratap Aditya Singhdeo, Shibendu, Archana Singh, Shopun Dashgupta, Kurush Dalal in conversation with Indradeep Narayan Banerjee. May I request Indradeep to come on stage? Ladies and gentlemen, Indradeep has been duly introduced in the previous panel. He's a lawyer and a culture expert. We move on to inviting Robin Ghosh, who's an economist and founder of Bangla Mishti Online, to come on stage. Shibendu, who's a noted journalist. Dr. Kurush Dalal, who's an archaeologist, historian, and culinary anthropologist. Archana Singh, who's the founder, she's the founder of House of Badnor, and of course, Pratap Singhdeo. Ladies and gentlemen, may I request all the panelists to take their seat, please. Thank you. A big round of applause for the panelists, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Are the rest of them coming? Archana is here. Well, before the panel starts, I would request the moderator to keep it within time. And also, I would like to thank our partners, T2, Joy Farm, JIS Group, 91.9 Friends FM, Sanmarg, The Corner Courtyard, Bangla Mishti Online, Curry Forward, X Factor, Calcutta Cacophony, Veneto, and Millidroog. Over to Indradeep. Thank you very much. I'd like to mention that Robin Ghosh is not here with us at this moment, but we will start the panel because we cannot delay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I would also like to inform you that at the end of the panel discussion, we'll take a short break, after which we have a presentation on the culinary traditions of Thakurbari, precisely the famous platters and favorite dishes of Rabindranath Tagore. That would be presented by Choitali Dashgupta, yours truly, and on songs would be actress Vidita Chakraborty. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Over to Indro.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back once more. We'll be discussing about Mishti Beyond Borders. First and foremost, I just wanted to say, when we eat something which is nice, which is tasty, we really don't look where that particular thing has come from. We just eat and enjoy it. Like the moment you do a surgery, a dissection, of finding out where it came from, what's the origin, whether it has a GI tag, it just ruins everything. So I personally believe and feel that Mishti Beyond Borders, that very topic doesn't make sense. Mishti has no borders. Mishti is above borders. Mishti is about lifestyle. Mishti is an attitude. Mishti is all about looks, presence, everything. So it has no borders. Yet, saying that, keeping in mind that in Bengal, we have a very, very strong history of sweets. And in the present world, the sweets from Bengal finds pure dominance across India. Whereas there are sweets from other states as well which are not as popular as a Rasgulla. However way the people wants to pronounce it, a Rasgulla or a Rasgulla or whatever, it is the same thing. So over here today we will be discussing about sweets from other states in Bengal, other than Bengal. And does actually a sweet has like a geographical difference? Like a malpua, as we all know, was just, we find a mention in the Rig Veda, and the Rig Veda doesn't belong to any particular state. It belongs to this country. So all sweets belong to this country. So saying that, we will start with Mr. Dalal. I have a question with you being an archaeologist and anthropologist. Do you really believe what I say, that sweets do not have a border, like it is borderless?
So that's a yes and no question kind of answer. Um, do sweets have borders? No. Sweets shouldn't have borders. I completely agree with you on that. They should not be a GI tag. I mean, you want to disseminate sweetness as far and wide as you can. You want more people to eat it. And let's face facts. There is an entire tag in India, an entire generic term called Bengali mithai. And you eat Bengali mithai not in Bengal, but you eat it in North India, South India, East India, West India, and elsewhere. And any one of the chana-based mithais is called a Bengali mithai outside Bengal, right? So giving it a GI tag and saying only if it is made in Joynagar can it be a Joynagar in Mua, then takes away the joy of spreading joy from Joynagar to elsewhere. I mean, wasn't supposed to sound like that, but you know what I mean. At the same time, there are some very intriguing borders that are created for various different sweetmeats. You really don't have Mishti going into Nagaland and beyond. You don't have a kheer kodam that the Chinese make. You don't have a payasam that the Chinese make, because they're essentially lactose intolerant, because they domesticated species which did not give them milk in their early domestication.
Right.
And that's why. So that's one border. Then there are other borders of economy. And borders of economy are huge. How many people can afford Mishti and not afford Mishti? Shibendu took me to a place today where they still make 1 rupee Mishtis, so that everybody can get a Mishti, however poor they are. Absolutely. Which automatically says that there are poor people who can't afford Mishti. Then there is the entire power play, the politics of food, where who can eat something, who cannot eat something. Widows are not allowed this, widows are not allowed that, widows shouldn't eat Mishti. Again, that is a border whether you like it or not. So there are political borders, there are economic borders, there are actually food-based borders. But all of these need not be looked at as borders, but need to be looked at something that we can surmount.
Absolutely. So from here, I will go to Archana. Archana, she is a Rani Sab Badnaur in Rajasthan and Princess of Pratapgarh in Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh, the land of Awadh, land of food, land of beauty, land of everything. From there, she went to Registan, where there is arid land. So Archana, tell me, the geographical effect of sweets, you felt it when you got married from UP and you went to Rajasthan. Tell me, what was the difference and how you handled it?
Is this working? Thank you. Yes, Indradeep, I grew up in Awadh, Lucknow, and around Lucknow. Awadh was, of course, primarily the land of Nawabs who came from Iran. So there was a lot of Persian influence on everything, actually. Culturally, it was very, very strong. And of course, there was a Hindu culture, and then there was this Muslim culture, which coexisted parallelly, both very strong, very rich. And so the Persian influence on food, I'm not going to digress from the topic, was basically was very refined, very sophisticated. The Persians had perfected the art of balance. Mughals used a lot of spices, so did the Muslims in general. But when the Persian influence came in, everything became more delicate, more subtle. So the nuances were also carried forth on the desserts or the Mishti.
Tell me about Nimish. I'm dying to hear about it.
So Nimish was, of course, the star attraction of Awadh. Now Nimish is, because it still exists, is froth. So the milk froth has a stabilizer. We'll come to the details later. So the froth holds in some kind of stiffness. So it holds. And it holds only for a few hours. So you have to eat it within those few hours, and it is always made in winters.
Like it's kept in dew, like overnight, that's what I've heard.
So the milk is kept outside, and the dew basically falls in it. Now the myth is, the romanticized myth is, that because of the dew, the froth holds.
Okay.
But that's not true.
Okay.
There was, not anymore, something called samudrajal. Samudrajal is cuttlefish bone powder.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
added to the froth.
Right.
So it acted as a stabilizer, but it was a very mild stabilizer.
So you want to tell me, like, the cuttlefish bone powder was actually covered up with that dew thing, so that the people would buy it
Yes.
thinking it's a dew which is holding it, not the cuttlefish powder. That's interesting.
Yes, they didn't
That's
want to
interesting.
talk about it, so it was dew that basically.
So
made it
Persian
hold.
influence, like, as I know, Persia is associated with beauty, like, the sweets, the layout, and everything, it's perfect, it's beautiful. For them, the art of Mishti in its true sense, which we discussed in our last panel discussion, art of Mishti, where I spoke about this thing, I did mention you,
Right.
that the beauty of sweets was more important than the taste.
No. Persians serenaded every sense.
Right.
It was sight, smell, textures. Textures were also so important.
Absolutely.
That was the delicacy.
Perfection.
Perfection in every sense of the word. Now, when we moved to Rajasthan, when I got married into Rajasthan, there was no such delicacy. Because that was basically a warrior land, warrior clan.
Yeah, they can't afford to be Mishti, actually. They need to fight.
No, there was no Mishti. They don't have the luxury of time to sit and create these art forms that
Right.
Awadh has. Because they were always on the go. They ate food for nourishing their bodies.
Right.
In Awadh, we ate food to nourish our souls. That is
Wow.
the basic difference.
That's beautiful.
Really, that's how it was. So in Rajasthan, there was something called lapsi, which was cooked, which is like a broth cooked with bajra and gur. And then, of course, the Marwari culture came in, and they brought in ghevar, and they brought in a whole lot of other sweets. But as a tradition, well, nothing can match Awadh.
Yeah, because they were busy fighting. They didn't have the time to, sit back home and be artists and create
No.
sweets. Shibendu, that comes to you. You're from Shillette.
My family.
Yeah, your family is origin from Shillette. Like, it's can you tell us, like, what about the sweets from Shillette? Like, Bangladesh has, it was Bengal. It was one big Bengal, but the Rasgulla and the typical Bengali sweets, were they restricted only to this side of West Bengal, or it was as far as went to Shillette as well?
So now you get everything everywhere, but like since I was born, my mother's side of the family, they migrated from Sylhet to Meghalaya, the state of Meghalaya
Right,
in
right,
India
right.
during 1947.
Right.
My father's side, luckily their village fell on the Indian side, so they didn't have to migrate.
Right.
But it was like very like on the borders,
Right.
like which kind of border, like on the other side of the border there was Karimganj.
Right, right.
And when they came here, they came to the state of Meghalaya. So if you see the geographical proximity of Sylhet with Meghalaya and the tribal way of having food, then there are a lot of similarities.
Like, can you tell us about tribal sweets?
Yeah. So there are a lot of similarities. At the same time, we can't forget that Sri Chaitanya
Right.
was also, his family is also from Sylhet.
Okay.
Yeah, Sri
Okay.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu,
Okay.
if you track his origin,
Okay.
so they are also from Srihotto or
That's
Sylhet.
interesting, right.
So there is a connection of Vaishnavism
Of
with
course.
Sylhet for the Bengalis in Sylhet. Now, we also have to understand that these are all very mountainous regions with their own tribal population,
Right.
as well as the Bengali population.
Right.
And these are also nearing the East Asian countries like Burma and other countries.
Right.
And that is also one of the primary, Chittagong is right south, so it is also one of the ports. So a lot of influences coming together.
Like, can you give me an example of how, this geographical positioning,
Yeah.
with Burma one side and the port, and
Right.
any new kind of sweet that came up with a marriage of all this culture?
So not new probably, but what happened is what I saw in my family, like my mom used to do is very similar to, you know, those sticky rice which you find in the northeastern states, primarily in Nagaland, Assam, Arunachal, that primarily sticky rice and milk and some kind of fruit pulp. Ideally in the season of mango, it's mango or some coconut or something like that. And a sugar or gur thrown in. So that is the primary sweet thing that we used to have.
That's lovely.
Apart from payesh, which is almost like universal in our times.
Yeah, payesh is all over the country. I'll take from here I'll go to Raja Pratap Singhdeo of Saraikela. Saraikela was one of the 26 states of Orissa, part of the Eastern State Agency. So now when we talk about Orissa, and sweets is an integral part because Prabhu Jagannath, a Puri, and there are a lot of sweets that been there for, like when we Bengalis, we say, like, you know, the Portuguese brought in cheese. Like, that's not true actually. Chanapora in Daspalla of Nagar was very much there. So, and was offered to Lord Jagannath already. And I don't remember, Mr. Dalal will be able to help me. In India also, we, like some reference in some book, there is reference of Chena, hundreds of years back.
So the earliest reference to the Rasgulla, forget about Chena, actually comes from Karnataka.
Acha.
So when the whole war between Orissa and Bengal was on, as somebody who studies food history, I found that hilarious. That the Manasolasa actually talks about this at least in the 16th century AD, if not earlier.
Wow.
Talking about a dish exactly like this, made up of chena and sugar, and so on and so forth. So various experiments like this have been carried out at various times in the past. It's just that this was one experiment carried out in the 19th century in Eastern India.
Right. Yeah, because they did not know about Chena and someone brought Chena and they thought like Chena has been brought by them. Dada, please tell us about Jagannath temple and his sweets. And also before that, Dada, I want to know, Saraikela is one of the most influential states in erstwhile India and was very close to Calcutta. And there was a lot of cultural exchange. And we know there are three kind of Chou dance. Like one is the Purulia Chou, one is the Mayurbhanj Chou, and another is the Saraikela Chou. And right now you're the custodian of the Saraikela Chou. Can you tell us, please?
Firstly, I would like to thank the Jugal Sweets for inviting us on this auspicious occasion on the completion of the 100 years. It is our pleasure to be here among you. As I say, if I look before 1912, the Bengal and Orissa was one province. Only later on it was divided. So there are a lot of common influence between the Bengal and the Orissa. As Indradeep Bhai was talking about the Jagannath temples, the Orissa, when we talk of Odia sweets, the chena poda, which is a baked cottage cheese with a caramelized things and all. It is quite famous and it is loved by each and everyone, which was offered to Lord Jagannath as a bhog, even Rasgulla. And the other part is the Mahaprasad, which the rice part, you can't take it for a long distance. That's why there are dry sweets that are being offered to Lord Jagannath and which are being carried to your household. So these are the things which are very famous. And as Bhai was saying, the Saraikela, because we are talking about the borders, I would just like to tell you, the Saraikela was a princess state. In December 47, we were merged with the other 26 princely state of Odisha. But unfortunately, our neighboring state, Mayurbhanj, was not a part of Eastern State Agency, but it was a part of the Bengal Presidency. It didn't merge with the other states of Odisha.
That's why I keep telling Pravinda that you are more Bengali than Odia.
he was more Bengali, and due to the Mayurbhanj, the Odisha was this side and Odisha was that side, and in the middle was the Mayurbhanj, which was a no man's land. It merged 1 year later. So Saraikela state was merged with Odisha, but after 4 years, it was shifted to Bihar. And in 2020, the Saraikela was shifted to Jharkhand. So you can just imagine, just by creating the boundaries of a map, you can't change the culture, tradition, the food culture. It's just for the political benefits, the maps are being changed.
But irrespective of a geographical change, your culture remain the same, your sweets remain the same. Ma
Sweets-
Pauri
Yeah.
is still offered some sweets,
Yeah.
like Ma Pauri, your Devi, your family.
Because there are a lot of sweets which are, you can purchase from the shops and all these things, but there are a few particular sweets which we offer to our Devi, our Ish Devi Ma Pauri, which are prepared inside the temple kitchen only. They are something like the Ma Pauri Laddu, because you don't use a machine. These are the basin which they press it on their hand, and the chana comes out, they fried it, and with the sugar syrup, they make a laddu. Like the khaja, they made it inside the temple. Another very peculiar sweets that is offered to Lord, our Devi, is the palawa. There is a tirkut, it's a kheer. It's an Indian arrowroot mixed with milk and sugar, and that is offered to our Devi. So these are very peculiar things which are only the temple sweets and the sweets we offered at the. And another very peculiar is the Saraikala Laddu. You have all seen the Motichur Laddu, it's a besan Laddu, but the Saraikala Laddu is the save, the chana. It is a very fine save that is not while frying, the salt is not added. It is fried and then it's made with a sugar syrup, and they make it the laddu. The Saraikala laddu is another very peculiar sweets which is not found anywhere.
I think
There's a very interesting thing about this. And to just correct you about the whole Portuguese brought chana business.
Right.
At the Jagannath temple, every single vegetable that can be used in the bhog of the Jagannath temple is sculpted onto the Jagannath temple. So that's at least 700 years old in this iteration of the Jagannath temple. And if something is offered in prasad at the Jagannath temple, it is at least 700 years old by default.
Wow.
So Chenapura basically is at least 700 years old, if not older, just by virtue of this single factor. Which means that chana was being made in Jagannath at least 700 years ago. And if it was being offered to Jagannath, it was definitely more than 700 years old. You understand? So these are certain things that we kind of overlook sometimes. Sorry about that. So these are things we overlook when we talk about this. One person says A, second person says A, 10 people say A, 50 people say A, 500 people say A, everybody believes A is the truth.
Absolutely.
That's like the University of WhatsApp, but for that.
I will go to Robin Babu. Robin Babu, আপনি মিষ্টির জগতে একজন স্বনামধন্য মানুষ, আপনি একাডেমি শুরু করেছেন, মিষ্টির একাডেমি, like it's first of its kind. Can you just tell me like this particular concept of Mishti Beyond Borders or Mishti with Borders? আপনার একাডেমিতে, do you really help people to make only Bengali sweets, or you also try to make sweets from all over the other parts of the country?
Basically, Bengali sweets seems to be more of culture than
Absolutely.
business.
Right.
If you look at the Mishti industry, it is not an industry in the sense that those who are involved in this industry, they take it as a way of life.
Yes, passion.
They don't take it as a business. So if you ask a Mishti shopwala, Bengali Mishti shopwala, and if you ask him how much money you are making, he will tell you the turnover. He will not be able to tell you how much profit he makes, because he never takes it as a business.
Right.
Number one. Number two is the industry leaders who are in Bengali Mishti industry. They never took it seriously as a business because there is no data. See, we live in a data-driven world.
Right.
If you take Mishti as an industry and if you want to explore what this Mishti industry can do for young men and women,
Absolutely.
can we introduce technology into this business?
Absolutely.
Can we make it more profitable? Can we make it more hygienic? Can we make it as acceptable to younger generation with improvisation? There's nothing like that. No data is available. You don't know how many Mishti shops are there in Bengal. You don't know what is the turnover. One rough calculation says that the turnover is around 1,200 crores, which is quite massive.
Massive.
It is more than the IT export which West Bengal makes every year.
Wow.
But nobody has taken this as a serious industry.
Serious concern.
This
right.
is very unfortunate.
Right.
And the government, in fact, has not taken it very seriously, though this is a great employment generator, especially for women.
But you know, I'll tell you, I'm a traveler. I love to travel. I travel all over the country. Bangali Mishti Dokan, Bengali sweet shop, is there in every other city in this country. I don't know what kind of sweets they sell, whether they're remotely Bengali also, I don't know. But they're making immense amount of money. The kind of business these guys do is unbelievable, especially in Delhi.
I'll tell you my own experience, that if you walk around UP, Jharkhand, the entire northern India, you will find Bengali sweet shops.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is written as Bengali sweet shop, a Bengali mithai ka dukan.
Dukan, absolutely.
Okay. But all are fake. None of them carry pure Bangla Mishti.
Absolutely.
Now how it is happening?
The tag
Because
works.
there is no security of Bengali Mishti brand. See, there is no consciousness that we can leverage this Bangla Mishti into a global brand. If dosa can be a global brand, I find no reason why Rasgulla can't be a global brand.
Absolutely.
The point is, we don't have the vision. And there is no legal infra to fight this fake Mishtis.
Absolutely.
So first of all, what is important...
Everything is in the public domain. I'm a lawyer myself. I know that you can't do anything about it. You have to just...
Because who will own this brand?
Absolutely.
This is the big issue.
Big issue.
The individual shops can't own that Bangla Mishti brand. Then who will own it? This is a big question.
Absolutely.
The industry association or some kind of an outfit of the Mishti industry should own this. So this is a big issue. Before we tackle and think about how to leverage Bangla Mishti into a global brand or an employment generator, but I have an NGO where we have started Bangla Mishti and Bakery Academy.
Right.
And my experience is that I have trained about 35 tribal women in Bolpur, in
That's fantastic.
Shantiniketan,
Fantastic.
to make 10 Bangla Mishtis.
Wow.
And
You are like training women to do
tribals
it?
are not so fond of Mishtis as such,
Right.
you know. But they have learned the art of making Bangla Mishti, and they are making around 5,000 to 6,000 per month.
Wow, fantastic.
Because they are able to sell that Mishti to their own community and to various melas
Right.
which we have throughout the winter.
Right.
So this could be a good employment generator.
Right.
Number one. Number two is the magic of Bangla Mishti as an employment generator is that it's so low cost. The capital cost is really nothing.
But I think, another thing what I feel, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
The tag, Bengali sweets, the intellectual property right in that, the valuation of that, it's really high. Mr. Dalal, do you think, why is Bengali Mishti, a sweet, is so popular across the country, and why not a Nimish or a Saraikala Laddu or any other sweets for that matter?
There are 4 or 5 ways to look at this. With due respect, I think you're doing a fabulous job with empowering these ladies, but I sincerely disagree with the concept that a Bengali Mishti shop, a Bengali mithai shop outside of Bengal is making any fake mithai by a long shot. See, here the problem is of becoming custodians and gatekeepers to the recipes of your land. Now, is the Mishti of Dhaka Bengali Mishti or not? Is the Mishti of Meghalaya Bengalis Bengali Mishti or not? Is the Mishti of Assam Bengali Mishti or not? So where do you start drawing the lines? It's very, very easy to say if it's outside the political borders of Bengal, it is all fake. Why is it fake? What is going into it? What is your definition of Bengali Mishti? Is Bengali Mishti a Mishti that is made with chana and sugar and a small flavoring agent? Then anything that is made in the same way is a Bengali Mishti. You cannot, unless you first sit down and make a list of Bengali Mishtis and say, these are the recipes, these are the parameters within which a Mishti is a jol bhora or a whatever. What was that one that we had, the kalash? Why is a kalash different from a jol bhora? It's the same thing.
Yeah,
It's just the shape. It's the mold difference. And because you want more variety, right? So to say that somebody who is making a mithai very similar to yours and honoring your tradition by giving it a label that no other mithai tradition gets in the country, and to say that that man is creating fake sweets, I think is doing a disservice to the whole of Bengali Mishti. Because Bengali Mishti is now going out and making a name for itself. To call the efforts of somebody else fake, just because it doesn't agree with your definition of what it may be, that, sir, is an injustice.
Archana, I'll ask you over here, when you went to Rajasthan from UP, you saw over there that, sweets were not an integral part of that particular society. You never thought, to introduce UP sweets, Awadhi sweets in Rajasthan, but I see there are shops called Bengali sweet shops, which are not even owned by Bengalis, but they're doing a good job. But why you never thought, or not you, for example, anyone else from UP didn't think of setting up a shop in Rajasthan or anywhere else and start selling nimish?
Valid question, Indradeep. I personally feel that it's the difference in the palate. The Rajasthani palate is more used to the robust flavors, and the Awadh cuisine is very delicate. You have to have a very refined palate because there's so many ingredients that are there.
You're telling me Rasagulla is not delicate?
Rasagulla is delicate because there are not too many ingredients you taste in it. You basically get one wholesome flavor.
Right.
But a nimish, you will taste the kevra, you will
Right.
taste rose, you will taste
It's
dry
fine dining,
fruits.
basically.
It's amazing play of textures and smells, and which Rajasthan palate was not
Also,
ready for.
is it the price can also play a role over here? Bengali sweets cheaper,
Yes.
and those sweets are more expensive, and it's more easy to for distribution and everything.
That and also making it.
Yeah, milk availability, right?
Our
right.
desserts are very
Right.
tedious to make.
Right.
Everything is about slow cooking. That's how dampok evolved in Awadh because people had time.
Right.
Rajasthanis never had time. They were always fighting battles here and there, and the Nawabs had plenty of time. They were just
Yeah.
creating and recreating dishes with beauty and
True.
amazing sophistication.
Absolutely. Dada, Pratap Dada, we know our families have a lot of secret recipes which we never give out. The recipes, we are custodians and it will die with us. My family also has, yours also has. I'm being selfish, I'll ask you, have you ever thought of taking out those recipes and offer it to people and maybe let people also understand and make those particular sweets which are served only to Mapauri?
Exactly. During the puja time, especially during the Jitwa Ashtami to Durga Puja, that 16 days rituals we all have, these prasad is being offered in the temple, and 9 o'clock the prasad is being offered to the Devi, and there are hundreds of people outside my house waiting for the prasad to be purchased.
Right.
So it is really big because these prasad is only available for these 16 days only.
Right.
They not only purchase for themselves, they purchase and send it to their old relatives who are the daughters of Saraikela who was married and gone to some other places.
Right.
Some people says like the palo kheer that is being performed. We try to make it in their house, but it is not as tasty as it was being offered to the Lord. So it is something
How do you ensure that the recipe doesn't go out? Do you make the halwai swear on something?
They always try
Like,
to...
like the thumbs up,
Exactly.
like the thumbs up, like the Coca-Cola recipe never went
Yeah.
out. So how do you
Yeah,
protect you? Because our family, that's exactly what we do.
it's
We
a-
make the halwai, we make them swear and promise that he will never disclose this particular recipe to anyone. And he's not given. And the main ingredient is not put by the halwai. I go and put it.
Right, eh? It is very great on your part that you are still able to be the custodian of that. Yeah. But,
So I can actually say that we're running out of time. That the concept of Mishti Beyond Borders or Mishti with Borders, it is a misnomer. But I will also want to what Mr. Dalal had made a point that it's nice at times to recognize a particular sweet with a particular state, with a particular boundary. It adds to the artistic aspect of it, like, Bangla Roshogolla, UP Nimish, Benarasir Pera, Mathurar Pera. Like Pera in different places, but Mathura Pera is very different from that of Benaras Pera. Okay, very different. So different sweets of different variety. The fashion is different, but the style is the same. So we can say like sweet is borderless, yet sweet has some borders. So with this, we will end our session, and thank you very much to all of you for a wonderful insight to everything. And I guess this is the last panel discussion of this entire. Okay, so okay. So this is the last panel among all the panels that we had for the last few days, and this has been a brilliant experience for each and every one of us. This is the first of its kind that এরকম একটা মিষ্টির ওপরে একটা লিটারেচার ফেস্টিভ্যাল ভারতবর্ষে মানে ভারত শুধু ওয়েস্ট বেঙ্গলে নয় সারা ভারতবর্ষে এটা প্রথম হয়েছে এবং জুগলসের 100th year সেলিব্রেশনে as a part of that we are having this huge celebration. অনেক আইডিয়া এখানে এসেছে এই স্টেজেতে আদান প্রদান হয়েছে, লোকে শুনেছে, লোকে বলেছে। আমরা অনেক গেম প্ল্যান করেছি যে আগে চলে আমরা কি করব। ইনভলভমেন্ট অফ উইমেন in the karigari, মানে মিষ্টির কারিগরদের মধ্যে you will never find women actually making sweets in any shop. Women are there in every walk of life, Archana, but you will never find a woman making sweets in any shop. We discussed, you missed that discussion, we had an entire panel dedicated to that, but Nobin Babu is doing a fantastic job, to get this tribal women to get involved and work. See, there is this, women, why are they not karigars? Because it has been a taboo. I personally feel, now this is my completely personal view, that gods and sweets are interlinked, okay? Sweets are made for gods. The moment there are some sweets comes to the house, people offers it to the god. Now there is this, when Draupadi was pulled to the court of the Kurukshetra by her hair, so Draupadi was shouting and was telling Dushasan, you cannot take me there, I'm Rajashala right now, means I'm having my period right now. So that aspect, that 5 days a woman is not considered to be it's not considered to be clean, okay, and she cannot do any work for the god is an absolute joke. In today's world, in 2023, I think it's an absolute joke. The entire reason why this thing was created was because maybe she used to be weak and she was tired and she was uncomfortable, so she was given time to rest. That it is. If she is capable of working and if she's not feeling tired, why wouldn't she work? What stops her from doing that? Go ahead, do it. So we have to get rid of this taboo and move on. And this particular place, this particular literature festival, we have explored this thing. We have also discussed, what the future of the dairy industry is, how to go forward, what to do, what about the future of new sweets, sweet business, everything. So I will call upon Lohana up here once, please. Lohana. Lohana. So this little girl, I call her little because for me she is little, she has done this wonderful thing. Please come up. I still remember when she came and she told me, Indradeep, I want to do this particular thing. I saw those eyes, those fiery little eyes, and I said, we will do it. And she has achieved and done which no one else in the history of sweet industry has ever done before. And this is just the beginning. And ladies and gentlemen, we shall have this particular festival year after year, and maybe in different other cities of this country, and just not in Calcutta. No, there'll be others who will be sponsoring, don't worry.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming here. We will be starting our closing session. We will have a সাংস্কৃতিক অনুষ্ঠান সুজয় প্রসাদ চ্যাটার্জি করছেন, চৈতালি দাশগুপ্ত, বিদিতা চক্রবর্তী এবং সুরজিৎ দাস। এই প্রোগ্রামটি 30 মিনিটে শুরু হবে। এই 30 মিনিটে আপনারা নিচে গিয়ে এখানে এই হচ্ছে না এখন তাহলে এখন আপনার এখানে 30 মিনিট একটু ওয়েট করতে হবে। এটা খুব ইন্টারেস্টিং প্রোগ্রাম হবে এবং সুজয় প্রসাদ নিজে এটা তৈরি করেছে। প্লিজ ওয়েট ফর দিস ওয়ান্ডারফুল প্রোগ্রাম এজ আ ক্লোজিং সেরিমনি ফাংশন। So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, once again. You have seen me too many times on the stage, and I'll take your leave.